This Challenger, $21,000. This Challenger, $38,000. So I'm here at CarMax today because they just reported their earnings and they were terrible. This one's $35,000. This one's $48,000. What CarMax just said could signal a collapse in the car market. You can buy a brand new RAV4 cheaper than what CarMax is selling this used one for. It's $40,000, but you can get a brand new one, a 2024, for $38,902. And after CarMax reported these earnings, their stock price got absolutely hammered. And throughout this video, I'm going to show you some of the vehicles CarMax is selling and what they're trying to sell them for. This is a 2022 Toyota Tundra SR5. It's got 37,000 miles, and they want $45,000 for it. So CarMax's net income year over year has gone down 27%. That is a massive number. And not only here at CarMax do they sell cars, but they sell toasters. And the problems that CarMax is having right now is just not a CarMax problem. It's a problem that's happening across the whole car market. So here's one of the biggest things that I think CarMax pointed out with their earnings that really gives us a tell on the market. So the amount of vehicles that they purchased from actual consumers was down 14%. That's telling us that, okay, there's less consumers out there that want to sell their vehicles because they can't buy new ones to replace them, because no one is able to really get into these $750 monthly payments to trade up. This is a 2021 Toyota Land Cruiser. It's got 70,000 miles. And they're still wanting $73,000 for it. 2021, it's got 70,000 miles. $1 for every mile? Yeah, $73,000. Yeah, $1 for every mile, bargain. But on the flip side of that coin, CarMax, their amount of purchases that they made from dealers is up 45%. That's huge. Oh, and just for you people who do not understand or pick up on sarcasm at all, I was being sarcastic. It's crazy money, too much. So what that's telling me is that they're trying to get creative and find places to actually get more vehicles. And what they're doing is they're going to some of these more desperate dealers. My beautiful wife, this is what I want for Father's Day. And they're paying them for their inventory that they've got to get off their floor plans. And that tells me that a lot of these dealers, they're in trouble if they're using an outlet like CarMax to get rid of their cars. This is big trouble for the car market, and something that I'm going to pay attention to over the next few quarters, because if CarMax continues to increase the amount of vehicles that they're buying from dealers, that means dealers are in big time trouble. So CarMax is having a harder and harder time actually moving the vehicles that they have on their lot. Their retail sales were down about 5.2%. So here is your pre-repo section. And I joke about that a lot, but these are the type of cars that we see pop up at auction getting repoed quite a bit from big banks like you see Wells Fargo, Capital One, and you're seeing stuff like this from CarMax too, because people would see these nice cars, they want to buy them, and then they find out really quickly, you know what, I can't afford it. So what happens? They lose their car. So here's a Raptor, and this is one that I would definitely want to check the price of it. It's a 2018 F-150, and it's got 57,000 miles, but you see there's no price. And on almost every one of the vehicles that are out here, they've got prices listed. So I almost wonder if, because that Raptor is going to be so expensive that it's going to give somebody sticker shock just looking at it, maybe that's why they don't have the price on it. Maybe there's another reason, but that would be my assumption, is just that the price is so high that they're not wanting to list it on the vehicle. So here's one thing that I bet has been an absolute nightmare for CarMax. And you look at these Ram trucks. We know that out of Stellantis, they cannot sell these things, so much so that they're adding incentives, special interest rates. The dealers are knocking off percentages. They're lowering their MSRPs. That means that these trucks are very volatile in price. And what's that going to do? On the new side, it brings the prices down. And what it does for a place like CarMax is it absolutely crushes the price of their used vehicles. So especially if they have these 3-4-year-old Rams sitting out here, every time you get a markdown from Stellantis on their new side, then that means the used vehicles, the used trucks that are the same models, the same makes, whatever, they're going to get hammered too. All right, this thing's too blue for us not to check this thing out. It's a 2024 BMW M2. It's only got 1,000 miles. So this thing's brand new. It's got 72,000 miles. This is a new car. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about when I'm saying that there's some dealers that are selling vehicles to CarMax. This was not a lease return. This wasn't anything that they got traded in from a consumer. This is most likely a BMW dealership that could not sell this car for this price. They had to get rid of it pretty quickly to get it off their floor plan. They were just, they didn't want to have it. They didn't feel like they could sell it. So they wholesaled it. They would wholesale it, there you go, to CarMax, and that's how it ends up here. And this is why you can go to CarMax and you can buy cars that are 2024s and they've got 1,000 miles on them. They got 2,000 miles on them, because a lot of these dealers, they are in trouble and they've got to figure out how to sell their cars in any way possible. And some of them might have to turn cash pretty quickly. And the easy way for them to do that is to sell to CarMax, because you know what? CarMax got a lot of money. They can cut them a check just like that. I think the times that I've been to CarMax, I've been here a lot in the last 6 months, but I've never seen one of these Broncos for sale here. This is a 2021 Ford Bronco Badlands. I don't know if you can see it over there, but they want $41,000 for it, and it's got 37,000 miles. So their average selling price here at CarMax is down $600, and this is a big element of the market right now. We're seeing that prices are going down, and they have to go down on the new car side and on the used car side. So this is actually the cheapest thing that we've been able to find on the lot, and you know what, per square pound, square inch, per weight, it's actually the most expensive thing. So no, it's $10,000 for this thing, and it's got 60,000 miles. On the new car side, we're seeing incentives come in. We're seeing new MSRPs that are lowered to try to get customers to buy vehicles. And on the used car side, we're seeing on the wholesale level, prices are absolutely plummeting. So as that happens, as the market moves down, so does a company like CarMax. If they want to sell vehicles, they have to lower their price. Thus, over the last year, we've seen their average price go down about $600. All right, I definitely want to check this one out. This is a 2022 Toyota Tundra SR5. It's got 37,000 miles, and they want $45,000 for it. And this thing looks cool enough. It's got like the little half back door. It's not a full 4 doors, but very sweet, very sweet. I love the insides of these like 2023, 2024s, the Tundras, the Sequoias, the Tacomas. I love the new designs. Great, fantastic. And one of their reported numbers that I thought was very interesting was their wholesale number, and it was down by 4%. And this is coming off a quarter where used car dealers like myself had been loading up on vehicles. So this is more of, I think, a tell on the overall market and how dealers are responding to what's going on in the market, because really their wholesale numbers should be up. All right, here we go. Oh, slide between. We've been looking for a 4Runner, and we found a 4Runner. Here we go. This is a 2021 right here. And it's got 33,000 miles, and they're selling it for $37,000. See, CarMax, whenever they buy cars from consumers, they get trade-ins. They have auctions that they run, and auctions like someone like me goes to and buys vehicles. And during this time period, wholesale prices should really go to the moon, and wholesale sales should be up. The amount of no sales, the amount of if bids, phone calls that go through these auctions should be down, because dealers are willing to pay a lot more at this time of the year to load up for tax time for spring selling season. And what we've seen from CarMax's numbers, they didn't do that this year. So this is really telling for the market that dealers are in a tough spot, so much so that they're not buying as many vehicles from CarMax. And here's another example of potentially a sticker shock car and why they don't have a price on it. This is a 2018 Mustang Shelby GT350, and it's only got 10,000 miles, but they don't have a price. And now the more that I'm seeing these higher tier cars not be priced, that's probably their thought process behind it. Anything that's going to give some sticker shock, they're probably not going to allow their customer to experience that without going inside and talking to somebody about it. All right, here's the Tacoma section. We always like to check these out. So here we go. Here is a 2022 Tacoma TRD Sport, and it's $33,000. It's got 28,000 miles on it. So CarMax's profit per unit has actually only gone down about $26. They're still making $2,251 per unit. I see that really as a downside to CarMax, and really one of the big reasons why they're having such difficulty moving vehicles is because they're still trying to keep their margins up. Now, in the last few quarters, they said that this is the game plan. They want to keep their margins high, their prices high, the amount of money they make per vehicle high, because they think in the long term it's going to actually be more beneficial for them to do that versus playing the volume game. I think they've really made a misstep by keeping their prices so high and trying to make that $2,200 per car. I think they could bring that down a little bit and move a lot more vehicles. I think there's a sweet spot, and they're probably just overshooting it just a little bit, but they're going to have to figure out where that sweet spot is, and what it's going to mean is that they're going to lower their prices and try to find out where that volume meets the right margins that they need to hit. And their initial goal of keeping their margins high, we're seeing that it's not working. So here's a RX 350, and what's interesting about this is a 2015. It's got 117,000 miles, but they're asking $18,000 for it. But I just literally bought one of these wholesale, and maybe I paid too much, but mine is a 2011. It's got 110,000 miles whenever I bought it, and I paid, it's either $10,000 or $11,000 for it wholesale. That's what I paid, and they're selling one for $18,000. So I mean, it's a newer model, so maybe that's not too far off base, especially when they're making their $2,200 off of it too. So anyway, that's just a real world example of what a used car dealer like me pays for something that's somewhat similar. I mean, 4 years older, and you can see what I paid for mine, and then that's what they're selling theirs for. Okay, so this is probably the worst thing that came out of CarMax's earnings reports, and that is their forecast and how many cars they expect to sell going forward. So their previous prediction would be that they would sell over 2 million units, both wholesale and retail, by 2026. And they came out and said, you know what, we're probably not going to hit that now. So we're pushing that expectation out between 2026 and 2030. And this is a big reason why their stock would sell off and sell off as hard as it did, because this is uncertainty. And that's exactly what the stock market does not want to hear. They do not want to hear uncertainty. But I completely agree with CarMax coming out and revising his expectations, because CarMax has come out and said that they thought that the market would normalize a little bit more than it has over the last few quarters. That was their expectation. And guess what? Market hasn't normalized. We're not having more vehicles come into the system. People are keeping their used vehicles for longer, and that's why CarMax is not able to buy enough vehicles from consumers. That means they're not going to be able to sell enough cars to consumers, because they have to sell them so high, because monthly payments are so high, even from a place like CarMax, and because banks are tightening up, and because interest rates are where they are. And all of these factors, they're all citing as big negatives to this market right now, and it's hurting CarMax, and it's hurting their expectations going forward. CarMax is not going to do as well as they thought they would, and they said that to the stock market, and guess what? Stock market does not like it. All right, so here's something that's very interesting. Here is their electric charging station or whatever, and usually when I come here, this is where all their EVs would be, and there's not one here. And I think it's interesting that that they don't have any. I think it's probably going to be a trend for a company like CarMax, is because of the prices of EVs going down so quickly and the prices being so volatile that, yeah, it makes sense. Why would they have a bunch of used EVs sitting around on their lot just getting hammered in value because every other week Elon decides to cut the price? So I think this is telling. Yeah, usually there would be like 10, 15 EVs sitting on this wall right here. You saw the charging station, and they don't have any. I think that's actually a good plan from CarMax, if that's the plan, but it looks like it is. This is also a distribution store, so they have a lot more vehicles than a lot of the other CarMaxes that you'll see across the country. And there's not one EV here, not one. Uno, there's zero, there's none EVs. And this is a big store. That's telling. They don't want to be in EVs. It's good play, I think. And here we go, yet another example of what I presume to be a sticker shock kind of car, and we got no price on it. This is a 2015 Stingray, 50,000 miles. And again, CarMax doesn't want you to know, if you're out here looking at one, what it costs until you go inside. 14%. Nope, not went up 14%. I think they were 14%. Well, let's see, how are we going to do this? Cars, they want to buy them, and they found out. And it's got 20, sorry. All right, so now here is probably the worst thing from the earning. Nope. So here's one thing that I bet has been a nightmare for CarMax, especially these newer. No. What CarMax just reported could signal a collapse in the. I tried. I went hard at it, didn't I? All right, let's go again.